I'm RJ Nestor, productivity consultant, and everything that you're seeing out there about Claude Cowork misses the point. And it's not that it can't do your big heavy lifting work for you. It absolutely can. And it's not that Cowork doesn't come to every conversation fresh with no idea who you even are, and that you don't have to think about how you provide that context to it. You do. That's critical. That's vitally important. The point that's being missed, though, is that most of your work is not of the sort of let's figure out everything in front of us kind of work. It's the simple things. It's the administrative work. It's the recurring work. It's the things you do regularly. By far, the vast body of your work is the simple things that are happening regularly. Those are the things in your work and your life where you can really get leverage if those are handled. That's what I've aimed to build with my AI administrator in Claude Cowork. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of how it works as I'm talking about what it is. So I've actually I've had my dictation app, which is called Whisperflow, and that's not relevant here, but that's my dictation app that's doing this. It's been on the whole time I've been talking so far. And now I'm going to ask it to do a few things so that it can do some demos while I'm talking to you here. So let's go ahead and send a text message to my friend Jane Doe that tells it about the things I've talked about so far, tells Jane about the things I've talked about so far. Let's send an email to my friend John Doe that summarizes what we're talking about here. And then let's look for the folder in my active projects for Reclaim Your Creative Mind that starts on March 9th. And let's go ahead and put a summary markdown file from this into that folder. And then let's say that I want a task to review that file. Add that task to Tana for me and schedule that for tomorrow. And then also let's create a reminder for when I arrive at church to check my email and see if John has responded to the email that we sent. So I'm giving a lot to do here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off Whisperflow, and it'll add that dictation to this conversation here. And now I'm going to click this. And so for the rest of this, as I'm explaining what's going on here, we'll watch it work. You'll see, first of all, that it's reading a file called routing. When I talk about delivering the right context, every conversation I have with Claude Cowork, if I've asked it to do something, but haven't really given it any instructions beyond, that this is the general context, it's going to look at that routing file and it's going to look for the saved actions. And you can see it grabbed a lot of saved actions here over on this side because I told it to do a lot of things. I sent it text messages and emails and create tasks and all of that kind of stuff. So it's looking to be able to do all of those things. And that's the way I keep the context light. I'm not overwhelming Cowork with a massive file about all the things I do. That's one of the mistakes that I see talked about a lot, or I should restate that. I see made a lot in the conversations that I see on social media and in videos that I've seen, is that they think that you need to give it just this big old pile of context at the beginning. That's not true. You want it to have exactly what it needs and nothing more. And so I create this routing file, and it goes and it finds the relevant actions that I needed to do, and it's already probably gotten most of that done. You can see it's found the project folder, and it's looked up John Doe and Jane and all of that. So it's found those things. Oh, it had a little bit of error here in the Apple script, so because it isn't finding the contacts app, but it did find. Then it opened the contacts app. This is actually great for a demo like this because I didn't have contacts open. But then it was able to open contacts, and then it found Jane and John, and all of that was good. And so it's got all the information it needs. It's writing that summary demo. It's doing these things while we're sitting here talking about this. And it's doing that because it knows what information to look at, because the routing file shows that to it. This concept is what I call my AI administrator. And so that AI administrator is a system that's self-maintaining. And I don't want to get too deep into that in this video, but self-maintaining just means that when I create a new action, like, my add a task to Tana or whatever, it's created in such a way that the system always has it in its routing file. The action to create it makes sure it shows up in routing, and that those things are maintained automatically. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time I create a new saved action. And it's also really great because I don't have to even think too hard about creating a new action. I don't come in and say, all right, how do I need to do this for creating a task in Tana? I just work with it to figure out how that's done. And at the end of that conversation, I say, let's make this a saved action. And that way I don't ever have to worry about that again. So the maintenance is not difficult. And even the creation of these things is not difficult because, I'm not here, I am sort of here to pitch my course, Reclaim Your Creative Mind, Build Your AI Administrator. But that is where I give you the AI Administrator Starter Kit. So it doesn't have all of my saved actions in it, but it has all of the things that it needs to have in order to create that self-maintaining flow that then it's easy for you to add in the particular work, the particular actions that are relevant to your life. And it does that in a way that is self-maintaining. So you don't have to constantly be worried that things aren't going to work. And if something doesn't work exactly the way you want it to, if you want to polish it, change it, there's an action in there to update as well that makes sure that everything stays consistent and stays self-maintaining and connected. So that's the idea, and that's what's at work here. And none of this is a major lift for Cowork. It's just a set of files in a folder that goes in there that it knows to check because I've put it in I've put the information in the appropriate place when I ask it to do something. So it's got the text to Jane and the email to John as drafted. Let's see what we have here. The Jane text: hey, I've been recording a walkthrough of my AI administrator setup, so forth. John Doe, it's what I'm building in Claude Cowork. It's an email about that. And what I want to point out here is if I wanted to do any one of these things myself initially, on my own, if I wanted to send a text or send an email or create a reminder or, create a task in Tana, all of those things, if I were just doing one of them, it would be easier for me to go to the relevant app and do them. But when they're all dependent on the context of something that I'm working on, or when any of them are dependent on the context of something I'm working on, being able to create a first draft from within that context is really valuable. Maybe, I'll go and edit this email a little bit before I send it. But I've got an email that's built in the context of what I have. It's also built on the context of how I write emails, which it gets from another source when it's going to write an email. But that's the really powerful thing here. And so let me show you here. I'll say send both. Now, I know because of the way the thing shows here that the text message will probably show up in the wrong monitor, so I may not be able to show you the text message when it gets around to that. The text is over here, and it won't let me drag it, but I've got the text over here on this monitor. Now, I use a shortcut. I built a shortcut for being able to send a text message, and it says return user cancel because that is what I did. Oh, I'm still canceling it. Don't keep trying to send it. I'll have to tell it to stop trying to send it. And hopefully it'll move on to the next thing here without too much trouble. Normally I would have just sent it and it would have caught that. But what it's doing then is, it's running these shortcuts that I've created. It's the big difference. Let me kind of step into this world here. That when you're talking to just a chat bot, when you're talking to ChatGPT in its main interface or Claude or Perplexity or whatever, you're talking to a brain with a mouth. When you move into a tool like Claude Cowork or Claude Code or Gemini CLI or Codex in a terminal environment, then you're moving into a world where you're adding eyes and you're adding ears and sense of touch. It can see your files. It can see your apps if you have MCP servers installed. And all of that is wonderful. What we're doing with this AI administrator is we're giving it tools. We're giving it a hammer and a saw and a coffee maker and all of these things to be able to set those things up. Okay, it's still plugging away here. Oh, it's still trying to resend the text message. That's our issue. So I'm canceling the text message. This is a demo. And so hopefully it'll stop attempting to send the text message at that point. But normally that wouldn't be an issue because it wouldn't be hung up on that. And so now it's updating its status there. It's got the reminder that's already done. We have created a shortcut for it to be able to send that, create a reminder for arrival. It opened the email here to send the email. and it opened the text message, or excuse me, the task manager. You can see it's got the Review AI Administrator demo summary file over here. And then if I open my files here, you can see there's a it's not the detailed review, it's the demo summary. There's the demo summary of the AI Administrator that came from this conversation. It did all of those things just because it was coming out of this setup. Yes, I was like, yeah, I did cancel out the email because I wasn't going to send the email. Let me have it resend the email. Resend the email so that I can show it to you, because I canceled it out before I demoed it to you, and I want you to be able to see that it does in fact work. Yes, here we go. I think that got confused there when I canceled the one. But the what we've created here gives it the tools to be able to do things that are actually relevant to the work you're doing within the context of the actual work. And so you're not then creating yourself, just this sort of co-work collaborator that can only handle big blobs of context. And the one that I always see is the first one always listed is organize your files. And like, okay, I'm not saying organizing your files is an inherently bad thing. Of course it's good. But, it's also the sort of thing that AI can figure out on its own. I don't necessarily need the AI to organize the files for it to be able to figure out. Here's the email that it was going to send to John. So you can see that it created that from that. And I can edit from here if I wanted to. But if you take this course, then you will learn how to build the pieces that go into this process. And so, just briefly, because I know I'm already been talking here for 12 minutes or so, I'll show you what's working here. This is my AI Administrator folder. It's got a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of actions that I've created, and I want to emphasize they're easy to create because it creates them. It has the the action to know how to create them, the system action, create a saved action and all of that. So it does it in a consistent way. But I can do that from any conversation that I'm having, any session with Cowork, or for that matter with code. It can create that for me, and it's all just in this file folder. And then if I bounce out to, this is what I would be giving to you all who attend the course. This AI Administrator, you would get a starter kit, and that's what this is. This is all of the things that you need, the system actions that need to be in place. I don't have any of the saved actions because I don't know what your actual work is going to be, but I know that the system needs to be self-maintaining, and you need to know how to work with it. And so we have the documentation so you understand it. And then you'll find once you start working with it, it's very, very simple. And creating your actions and maintaining them is handled by the administrator. So none of that gets overly complex. I hope this is valuable for you. I know this isn't really me showing you how to build it. That's what the course is for. But it's not hard because I give you the base. I give you the foundation. And then in the course, I'll help you build the pieces that become the arms and the legs and the tools that your AI administrator needs to execute the actual work that needs to be done. And of course, I showed you there sending an email with Apple Mail. If you're using Gmail, Claude Cowork connects directly with that. You don't even need anything special. You might want to give it some information so it knows, what email address to use and, what types of things what your the way your tone and the vocabulary choices are in your email, so it can have that context. But you wouldn't have to build the connector. You just connect it. And so all of those pieces are unique to your app environment, to the work you do, to the life that you lead. I give you the administrator starter kit, and then I help you connect the pieces you need so that the Cowork environment or code or what have you will be someplace that you can get real things accomplished, and not just some sort of lofty, I will organize my every folder, I will solve every problem, but rather get specific things locked in, those specific things that are recurring, those specific things that happen on a regular basis. That's where most of your time and energy leak away. If we can build that into a system that does those things effortlessly, that you don't have to switch out of context anymore to do them, the benefits are immediate, the benefits are real, the benefits are long lasting and easy to maintain. That is a life changing thing. I hope that I'll put a link to the course here. And of course, if you're watching this at a later date, the course will come back around from time to time. So I encourage you to take a look, consider what this could do for you, and hopefully I'll see you in the course.